Okay, we are live, I think. All right, we're live. All right, hello everybody. Thank you so much for coming tonight. My name is Tracy Meilenberg, and I am one of the counselors at the International School of Beaverton. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Tonight's presentation is part of a week-long informational series. Tonight is the last night of that. We will have this presentation followed by a presentation on college essays, writing the college essay. All of the week's presentations will be recorded and available on the BSD district website shortly after the conclusion of this presentation. This week's presentation these week's presentations are all in English. Next week, the same presentations will be delivered in Spanish. Tonight's topic is about community college and the Oregon Promise. It's likely to generate a lot of questions, so please save your questions until the end of the presentation. At that time, we will have you put your questions into the chat. And feel free to put them in as you go along. We'll just answer the questions at the end. I'd like to introduce our presenters for tonight. We have two wonderful humans that work at PCC. Teresa Salinas is an admissions and recruitment officer, and Jana Doherty is our Future Connect person, and they are here to give you some wonderful information. So I will pass it over to them.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to be here tonight and spending time with us. Again, my name is Teresa Salinas, and I am one of the admissions and recruitment coordinators with the college. And I'll let Jana say hi.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm really happy to be here with all of you. My name is Jana Doherty. I use she, her pronouns. I work with the Future Connect Scholarship and Support Program at PCC. We'll talk a little bit about that. And I can also just be a resource for any student who's looking at PCC or other community colleges and who has questions about paying for college or other things that come up this year.
Great, thank you. So to first start out, we're going to be sharing some information over the screen here. And the first thing is we would invite you, if you're a student, to please sign in with us at that link that you see. I believe it was going to be put into the chat, and you can always sign in at any time. And what this does is it starts communication with the college, so we can send reminders about our scholarships, about terms starting, just about important events and things to consider as you're getting started at the college. Okay, so moving forward, let's see. Next slide here. Here's a little bit about Jana and myself. We have our ways to connect, and then also some web pages there for us. But we wanted to start out to just talk about why students choose PCC and a little bit about the college in general. So we are the largest post-secondary institution in the state of Oregon, offering over 90 different programs of study. So that would include associate degrees in areas as well as certificates. And many of our students continue to a university or college to earn their bachelor's degree. We are very proud of our small class size. We're about 25 to 30 for each class, and that includes freshman classes, and our affordable tuition. We run about a little bit more than half of what your Oregon public university is, and it's the way that we're funded. We receive some local funding on top of other funding that it's received for the 4 years. So affordable tuition is something that is important. Also, our application, we have a no application fee. So when you apply to PCC, it is completely free. And the other important piece is we do not have a GPA requirement. So we like to meet students where they are. So that GPA, we might ask for it on our application, but there's not a minimum GPA that we're looking for in order to be accepted into the college. Flexible schedules, especially now during this time that we're in. We're presenting this virtually. We offer classes in different modalities and all days of the week. So we would have our typical in-person classes. We've been offering about 20 to 25% of our class offerings. We also have remote classes, which means that you would log into a computer at, let's say, 9 a.m. to take a math class, and your faculty would be there to teach. Hybrid classes, as well as completely online classes. So those classes that are traditionally what we think you could do your homework and coursework at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. So really pride in our flexible schedule, as well as many, many support services and resources that we will also talk about. We have various locations in the Portland metro area. So altogether, we have 4 main campuses. We have our Cascade campus in North Portland, our Rock Creek, which might be close to some of you in the Beaverton School District, which is right off of about 185th by the Tannisbourne area. The Sylvania campus might be another close location, which is right off of 217 and I-5. And then our Southeast campus, which is a few miles up on 82nd in Southeast Portland. Now, in typical years, we do have a shuttle that goes through from campus to campus, as well as to Portland State University. And we have various, also the shuttle that would go to Portland State. We have centers across the area as well. Perhaps the Hillsborough Education Center would be the one that's close to the Beaverton area, as well as the Newburgh Center, just depending on where you live in the area, where we would typically offer classes as well. When you become a student at PCC, you can attend any campus or center that makes sense for you and any class modality as well, and you can mix them up. So now we're going to shift a little bit and really talk about the academic options we have at PCC. And I like to kind of talk about them in 3 different paths. One is beginning your university degree. The other is starting a career. And the third is exploring your options. On our website, you'll find information about all of our degrees and all of the paths. And they're also kind of put into some different core pathways that you see here. There's about 6 pathways available, and each one has many opportunities underneath. The first area that we'll talk about is our university transfer path. So what this means is a student would potentially spend 2 years at PCC or the community college, then 2 years at the 4-year university, with a total of 4 years for the bachelor's degree. So 2 and 2 is 4, right? About 60% of the students that we have coming to school with us are with the goal of really earning a bachelor's degree, because that's necessary for what their job or their career they're looking for. So that would be the university transfer option. You can start with us, and here is just a glimpse of the 4-year schools that you can transfer to. You will notice there's our partner state universities like Oregon and OSU. There's also out of state like Washington State University, as well as some Ivy Leagues listed. These are all true stories. Our students begin with us and then transfer to their next school. It's really up to each student on what their next school is. And our team of academic advisors are here to help a student decide which classes to take with us, because you do want to be deliberate in the classes that you take at the community college so that you make sure that they're able to seamlessly transfer to that 4-year school. And next, this is a list of some popular majors that our students that are in the university transfer path might take. So it's everything from art to communications to economics to political science and to writing. Lots of different choices. This is not a completely full list. So if students, you maybe don't see what you're looking for here, that's okay. These are some popular areas, but really you can study most things and then go forward to that 4-year school as well. That next path that I was talking about is what we call our career technical path. So it means starting your career with us, earning either a certificate program or a associate degree, and then starting your career in that area. So here's just a few examples, whether it's working with machines, working with people, working behind a camera, or working in the medical field. There are lots of different opportunities that PCC has to offer that will also give a family wage job as well and a career. So here's a list of our career technical degrees and certificates. So there's everything from accounting to bioscience to exercise science, to machine manufacturing, welding. Some of our very popular programs would include our nursing program, our dental hygiene program, our graphic design program is very popular, veterinary tech. So there's lots of different opportunities that a student can take. And again, these programs are designed where you have both your foundation classes, like your writing classes and foundation classes, as well as very specific classes to dental hygiene. So you're in there, you're practicing, you're working on those very specific skills. So then you're ready to then start your career after you finish either that degree or that certificate. So there's degrees that are 2 years, and then there's certificates that are 1 year, or some even a little shorter for those students that want to get an educational credential completed, but don't have maybe as much time as that full 2 years. So lots of opportunities here. Now for these career technical programs, I did comment we have 4 campuses across the Portland metro area. This is where we might ask you to go to one campus. And reason being, I will use fire protection technology as an example. This is housed at our Cascade campus because this is where we have our partnerships, and that's where the fire trucks are. And that's where all of the equipment is. Another program that I could highlight would be veterinary technology, which is our Rock Creek campus, because we call it the farm tenderly, where we have the goats and the cows and the dogs and the kittens and all of this. So each campus might have a specialty. For nursing, it's the Sylvania campus. Also, I would like to comment that for the university transfer program, you can take those classes at any campus and any modality that works for you as a student. And an opportunity to learn more that we are offering is what we call a preview day for high school students. This is coming up on November 19th, so just about a month away. This is a program that will be virtual. It'll be just an hour and a half. But what we'll do is we'll cover a lot of some general introductory and highlighted information about PCC as a college. Then as students would be able to choose a breakout session to attend, whether that be a business breakout session or engineering or multimedia. So there's different specialty areas where then you will be interacting with faculty, those that teach the classes. And then we'll wrap up with a Paying for College session that really goes more in depth about the different ways to prepare and pay for school. And registration just opened. So pcc.edu/preview, students, you can register today to attend, and it's a free program. Next, I wanted to highlight just our resources and student support services, which I think is something that really sets us apart. At PCC, we're here for our students, and we provide many, many, many services, both academic services and then areas to allow students to grow and learn outside of the classroom as well. So this is a short list of some of the resources that we do have for our students. There's a full list at pcc.edu resources, and it's a pretty long list. So we have everything from, as you can see, bike rentals. We've talked about academic advising. We also have counseling services like career advising, and then also personal as well. We have great identity resource centers, which are multicultural centers, Queer Resource Center, a Women's Resource Center, Veterans Resource Center, and then also a Dreamers Center. Career exploration. So for those of you that maybe are not sure exactly what you want to study in college, but you know you want to go to college, there's ways that we can help you kind of think about what might be a good fit. Lots of learning centers and tutoring. So there's drop-in tutoring. If you're having kind of trouble with that math question, you can just pop right in and get some help, as well as a food pantry. So if you forget your lunch money one day, or if you need a little, we have some there. And then also opportunities with student government and leadership. as well as a very strong disability services office. So if any students are on 504 or IEP plans, those services and that support to be successful in college will continue. So just connecting with our disability services area is a great start. We also like to talk about student life a bit. So we have a men and women's basketball team and soccer team. I understand we are second. We're the playoffs for the women's soccer. So we're doing really well. Lots of events, clubs, student organizations, volunteering, theater productions, choir, and education abroad or study abroad opportunities. So lots of ways to get involved outside the classroom as well. And next, we're going to be talking about paying for college, and this is Jana's specialty. So she's going to talk about this.
Thank you, Teresa. Hi again, everyone. This is Jana now. The reason paying for college is something that I think is really important is because I know this can be a big stressor on students, and it can feel like a big barrier for both students and parents. Like, how are you going to pay for college? And college costs seem to keep going up. And so we're here tonight with some good news, which is that PCC remains affordable, and there's many, many ways to get financial aid to help cover the costs associated of going to PCC and other community colleges in the state of Oregon as well. So, so the slide that you're looking at right now, this shows that our tuition right now is at $123 per credit hour. If you are a high school senior, you might not have a lot of context for that, but typically in colleges charge by credit hours, and typically if you're a full-time student, you're going to be taking at least 12 credits every term. So there's a lot of numbers on this page right now, but what it all means to you is that to attend full-time at PCC for one full school year, for fall term, winter term, and spring term, you're looking at a cost of about $5,700. And that's a total cost that includes your tuition and your fees and your books. It does not include living expenses like rent, but $5,700, we wrote $5,600 here, so it's right around there. Obviously books and other supplies can vary somewhat from term to term. So here's the good news is that compared to other colleges and universities in our area and in our state, PCC remains very, very affordable. So about $5,600 a year for PCC. If you look at tuition at like a four-year public university, it's about double that. It's going to be about $12,000 a year. And if you look at some of our private colleges, those price tags can vary, but it can be upwards of $40,000 a year. And this is not to tell anybody here that your dream college is out of reach, but just that when we look at costs, PCC is much, much more affordable. With that said, $5,700 is still a chunk of change. It still is quite a bit of money. And the next slide shows some ways that you can get financial aid to help cover the costs of attending PCC. And so we just encourage every single person here, or if you're tuning in later, please, please, please make sure to apply for the FAFSA or the ORSA. So you don't do both, you just do either the FAFSA or the ORSA. The FAFSA is the financial aid application if you are a US citizen or a permanent resident, and it goes by the student status. So if the student is a US citizen or permanent resident. The ORSA is the application for students who have DACA or who are undocumented. So no matter every student situation, there's financial aid application for just about every single student. When you do either your FAFSA or your ORSA, which some of you maybe have already done, the FAFSA and the ORSA opened on October 1st. The FAFSA or the ORSA to do right now is the 2022-2023 FAFSA or ORSA. There's way too many 20s to put into one sentence, but that's going to help give you money for next school year when you'll be starting in college. The next year's FAFSA or ORSA opens every October 1st. So just a little side note, every single October 1st is when you can start to renew your FAFSA or ORSA for the next year. But basically, if you're a senior or if you're a parent of a senior, it's a great idea to go ahead and get the FAFSA or the ORSA done. FAFSA and ORSA ask about income in the household. So they're trying to find out, does this family have a lot of money to send the student to college, or is money kind of tight and there's not a ton of money for the student to go to college? So they're going to ask about tax returns or income information for 2020. One thing to know, one thing I hear a lot is like, oh, we won't qualify. We make too much money. We're not going to do the FAFSA or the ORSA. Please do the FAFSA or the ORSA no matter what. And there's a few important reasons why. One of them is because it's a requirement for some other grants that are not need-based grants, but they still require that you do the FAFSA or the ORSA. The other reason is that finances can sometimes change in a household. And if you've done a FAFSA or an ORSA, and then finances change, like if a parent retires or if there's a loss of some of the income, then the college that your student is looking at going to can adjust the FAFSA or the ORSA and hopefully qualify for aid. So it's just a really good, important thing to get done as soon as possible. Your schools can help you with this. I can be a resource as well. So I get really, I'm very interested in helping as many people get this done as possible. So step number one, FAFSA or ORSA. What we can do then is encourage you to do something called the Oregon Promise. And I'll talk a little bit more about Oregon Promise in a second because we have a few slides on that. But one thing to know, FAFSA or ORSA looks at income in your household. Oregon Promise looks at your GPA. So some students will qualify for money from both types of financial aid, both FAFSA and ORSA and Oregon Promise. Some students will qualify for only one or the other. So it's nice that there's a balance of ways that you can qualify for free money to help cover the cost of college. So those are the big grants that you can apply for. And then on top of that, you can stack an unlimited number of scholarships. There's really no limit to how many scholarships you can be awarded. Overall, students get the majority of their scholarship money awarded directly from the college that they're attending. So while we always encourage you to apply for any scholarships that look good, and there's so many great community scholarships and national scholarships, just please don't neglect to apply for scholarships directly from the college that you're planning on going to, because that can be a really good source of scholarship money. At PCC, there's two big scholarships, and we'll talk about both of them in a little bit more detail, but there's one called Future Connect, and then there's one called the PCC Foundation Scholarships. The last scholarship that I'll mention on this page is the OSAC scholarships. And this is another really good, important one to apply for. OSAC scholarships are just for students within the state of Oregon. So you're not competing nationally. You're just looking at other, your competition is only other Oregon students. They award about $18 million a year. Every year I meet students who get really generous OSAC scholarships. What's really nice about the OSAC scholarship application is you do one application. And you can spend, a little bit of time on it. It's not the shortest application you'll ever do, but then you can be in the running and kind of be considered for lots of different scholarships that are all within that OSAC scholarship pool. So that's a really good one to work on as well. And if you do the OSAC scholarship application, the essay questions are very similar to what you'll see on other scholarship applications, like the PCC Foundation Scholarship application. So it's almost like if you're going to do one, you might as well do all of them on this list. So I know it looks like a daunting list, but we'll go through and we'll kind of talk about how to approach some of these. So Future Connect is the one that I work most closely with at PCC, and this is a big scholarship program at PCC. We award students, usually about 70 students from the Beaverton School District every year. And you have to be a senior to apply, and you have to start at PCC after you finish the end of your senior year. But basically what Future Connect is two things. It's both a scholarship and a support program. So the next slide shows you some really happy students who got the scholarship. It is a 2-year scholarship. So if you get awarded Future Connect, you'll have that scholarship money that we award you for 2 years in a row. It's really nice to just know it's already there waiting for you your second year. The exact amount will vary a little bit depending on every student's overall financial aid situation. But that's the scholarship. And then Future Connect is unique because it's also a full program of support. And so every single Future Connect student has what we call a college coach. And so this means you have one person who works at PCC, and their entire job here at PCC is to help students be successful and help students with all of the things that can come up as a college student. So your coach will be your academic advisor and help you choose classes and register every term and help you figure out careers and majors and help you get your financial aid in order. It's all these things that are possibly new to you if you've never been to college before, and your coach is just kind of there to help guide you every step of the way. You are never on your own. You're never like, I have a question and I don't know how to ask. Because if you're in Future Connect, just text your coach. They are one text away and they can help you with all of those things that come up as a college student. The next slide shows just a few other benefits to being part of Future Connect. We can offer you a few free classes that helps all of your scholarships and financial aid go even further. We focus a lot on building community and helping you make new friends and helping you get connected. And I think that's a really important part of your college experience. So we want you to have fun and meet others. Lots of really cool leadership opportunities, paid internships. We partner with a really cool study abroad organization, which means that you could have a chance to do part of your college experience in another country or another part of the world and still earn college credits. You could earn 24 college credits, but you'd be having these really great life-changing adventures and experiences that can be offered to you fully for free, which is so cool. And what a great part of your college education if that appeals to you. And that is now back up and running. So that's really exciting to us because it was shut down last year. But and then the last thing I want to highlight that Future Connect can offer is transfer scholarships. And so if you're in Future Connect, you'll have your regular coach. You'll also have a transfer coach if you are a student who's coming to PCC with a goal to then transfer. Our transfer coach can help you apply for transfer admissions and transfer scholarships. We also have some partnerships with 3 private universities in our area to offer full tuition transfer scholarships to Future Connect students. And the last thing I'll say about transfer scholarships, and this isn't specific to Future Connect, but if you are kind of worried about scholarships and missing out on scholarship opportunities by starting at PCC, please know that many, many, many PCC students get transfer scholarships. So Teresa talked about how PCC students can transfer almost anywhere, and you're not losing out on scholarship opportunities to 4-year universities by starting at PCC because many PCC grads earn transfer scholarships to the university of their dreams. So the next slide will tell you how you would know if you're eligible for Future Connect. There's really just one of 2 criteria that we would look at. One is whether or not you're considered a first-generation college student, and that would mean that neither parent who is involved in your life has a bachelor's degree from the United States. So if your parents didn't go to college, if your parents started college, if your parents went to college in a different country, if there's a parent who you're not in contact with, if your parents attended PCC or a different community college, or started a bachelor's but haven't finished yet, then you're considered first-generation college student. So it's good to know if you meet that criteria. If not, the other way you would qualify for Future Connect is if you qualified for free or reduced lunch prior to this year, or if in some way your family is lower income and paying for college is going to be a challenge. There's no GPA requirement whatsoever for Future Connect. The next slide shows how you apply, and it's a pretty short and simple application. It's open now. My job is to help you all have access to this. So if you qualify, please go to the Future Connect website. You can just Google Future Connect PCC. You'll find my cell phone number there and my email address, but please reach out with any questions. You're welcome to text or call or email me. And I'm happy to help you work on this application or answer any questions you might have. The next slide talks about Oregon Promise. So we mentioned we'd come back to this. So Oregon Promise is this big grant in the state of Oregon that helps provide for most of the tuition to attend at any of the community colleges in Oregon for students who meet the criteria. So some of you may have heard about this as like 2 years of free community college in Oregon. And I want to be really upfront about what exactly Oregon Promise is and what it covers. So it can pay for about 90% of your tuition at PCC. So that's a good chunk of change. That's the majority of your tuition. It doesn't cover fees and it doesn't cover books. So there's going to be a little bit of out-of-pocket expenses if Oregon Promise is your sole way of funding college, but it pays for the vast majority of it. So that's really good. So here's how you qualify for Oregon Promise. If you graduate from an Oregon high school and with a 2.5 GPA or higher, and you start at an Oregon community college within 6 months of graduating from high school. So if you are here tonight, but you're like, I think I want to take a gap year, or I'm not sure if I'm going to go straight to college, please know that you would lose on Oregon Promise. Oregon Promise does require that you go straight to community college from high school in order to get this funding. It does not have to come to PCC. There are 17 different community colleges in Oregon, and Oregon Promise can help pay your tuition at any of those 17 community colleges. Oregon Promise will pay for your tuition up to 90 credits. So that's what it takes to earn an associate's degree. And Oregon Promise will cover about 90% of that tuition, like we said. The next slide shows some of the deadlines. The big one to know is that Oregon Promise requires that you apply by June 1st. Please do not wait until June 1st. It is about a 10-minute application to apply for Oregon Promise. So please just get it done now. Even if you're not sure if you're going to go to a community college, you can apply and you don't have to use Oregon Promise, but it does not hurt to have it there waiting for you. You'll be so glad you do if something happens where you do end up at a community college. The one other thing is that Oregon Promise does require that you do either a FAFSA or an ORSA, and they require that you do your FAFSA or your ORSA by June 1st as well. And on your FAFSA or your ORSA, you have to list at least one Oregon community college. If you've already done the FAFSA and you didn't put an Oregon community college, you can just go back and make a correction and add PCC to your FAFSA. So that's Oregon Promise. The other big scholarship that we really encourage is the PCC Foundation Scholarships. The only requirement to apply for these is that you are going to be a student at PCC. That's literally the only requirement. So everyone who's listening to this, who's considering PCC, you qualify for one of these scholarships, you qualify to apply. The PCC Foundation gives away about $2.2 million every year just to PCC students. So this is another really good one to apply for. This application opens November 1st and it's due February 1st. There are 2 short essay questions that are part of this application, and they're very similar to the OSAC scholarship application essays as well. So it's almost like if you're going to do the work to apply for one, you might as well apply for the other, but please consider applying for PCC Foundation scholarships. The one thing, and this is kind of hard to see, but this shows kind of how to prepare and what those short essay questions are. The one thing to know is that you need to be admitted to PCC to apply for these scholarships. So what that means to you is that you'll need to apply. When you apply, you're guaranteed acceptance, which is so great because there's so few guarantees in life, but this is one of them. So, and then you'll actually need to go in and set up a PCC student account in order to apply for this scholarship. Again, you don't have to 100% know for sure that PCC is where you're going to be. You can apply for admissions. You can even apply for this PCC Foundation scholarship. If you get awarded one of these, you can turn it down if PCC doesn't end up being where you decide to go to college. But it does not hurt to have this waiting for you, to have Future Connect waiting for you, to have Oregon Promise waiting for you if PCC is where you'll be attending college next year. So again, Teresa and I can be resources and help you with all of these. This is just a little pyramid of financial aid pyramid, but this is just showing you that there's these different types of free money to help pay for college. None of these are loans. These are all types of financial aid that don't need to be paid back. And so when you do your FAFSA, you're applying for the Pell Grant and the Oregon Opportunity Grant. If you do the ORSA, you've already applied for the Oregon Opportunity Grant. And then on top of that, we encourage everyone to apply for Oregon Promise. So you could just stack one type of free money on top of another type of free money until you have the full cost of attending PCC fully paid for. And in some cases, I even know students who have more financial aid to pay for college than what it costs to go to college at PCC. And when that happens, students actually get a financial aid refund, which means that some students have a full ride to PCC, everything's paid for, and they're making money while they're attending PCC. And that money can go towards any living expenses, bills. Students can save it for when they're ready to transfer or move out, but that's a really good position to find yourself in. And the one other thing, sometimes I hear people say, well, as long as we get Oregon Promise, that's free community college, so we're not going to apply for other scholarships. And I mentioned earlier, Oregon Promise doesn't cover 100% of everything. It covers about 90%. And if you get Oregon Promise and you combine that with other scholarships, then not only will everything be paid for, but you'll probably be making money. So you'll be so happy if that's your situation next year.
Okay, thank you, Jana. That was a lot of information, but really, really helpful on paying for college. And again, we're available after today if you have questions about anything we've talked about. The next thing we wanted to just check in about and share is how to apply to PCC, how to be a PCC student. And this is the website. It's pcc.edu/admissions. And you'll see that there's different student types that'll pop up when you get to this webpage. So the student type for a student that has no college, like this will be your first time in college, right? You want to pick the first time college student, which is that first student profile right on the left. And I will say even students, if you've taken some dual credit, so if you've taken some college classes, earned some college credits while you're in high school, you still will want to complete the first time college student application, because this will be the first time you're an 100% college student with no connection to that high school. Right. So it's a free application, and you will be admitted after you apply. Give us about 3 to 4 days, and then you'll receive what we call an acceptance email in your email. And that will give you a couple of pieces of information, username, and then also student ID number to go ahead and move forward to the next steps to become a PCC student. So that's the first step. And this application, I would say you could allow 12 to 15 minutes to complete it. And most of the things that most of the questions or the answers you have right in your head. So no need to gather any extra information. So there's also different ways to connect with us at pcc.edu/visit. We have one-on-one appointments. So if after today you wanted to have a Zoom appointment with one of our admissions and recruitment folks like myself or my colleagues, you can go in and make an appointment. We have lots of different days of the week and even some evening times. Happy to sit and just answer your specific questions. Of course, preview days available that we've talked about. If we fast forward to, let's say, May and June, we'll have some programming called high school senior sessions for those of you that are wrapping up your high school time and ready to really take those next steps for college. And then we also have some other pre-recorded information sessions in English and in Spanish as well. So lots of ways to connect. Again, Jana and I are really happy to support you in anywhere you are in the process. And that's what we're here to do, is help answer questions and get you to the next step.
Yeah, and so here's a little bit of a checklist and kind of a recap of some of what we talked about. I realize this could look overwhelming if you're kind of like, oh my gosh, all of these things and each one is long. Please know we can help you break this into little bite-sized pieces and kind of take on one thing at a time. And we can help you just work on this bit by bit and chip away at this list. We can do individual Zooms, or my cell phone number was there earlier and it's on the Future Connect website, and you are welcome to text me if you have a quick question while you're working on any of these. I know it can feel overwhelming, and you have a lot of people on your side to help you through this. So just once again, we're encouraging you to finish your FAFSA or your ORSA if you haven't already. We're encouraging you to apply for PCC admissions, and then apply for the Future Connect scholarship if you qualify for that one. Apply for Oregon Promise if you qualify for that one, if you have a 2.5 or could get there by the time you graduate. And then the last two are kind of the OSAC scholarships and the PCC Foundation scholarships.
Perfect. And also, I'm going to kind of loop back to the link that we put in the chat right in the beginning, I believe, which is the pcc.edu sign-in. And the reason is, if you do kind of fill that out, we will send you reminders and ticklers of when these things need to be completed. So once the PCC Foundation Scholarship due date is coming up, we will send you an email that says, hey, reminder, have you finished your PCC scholarship application? So it's kind of nice to get those things like, oh, yeah, I need to finish that up. So, and next, I think we're finished with our formal kind of presentation, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. That was, I've been doing this a long time and I've listened to a lot of these presentations and I always get little nuggets that I didn't know before. So thank you so much for presenting. We don't have any questions in the chat yet, but let's give it a couple minutes just to see if people get caught up. All right, I don't think I'm seeing anything right now. You guys did just too good of a job. So I think, do you have, what were you going to say? Okay, so I think I will end the presentation, but they know how to reach out to you. And I know from my personal experience, you are also always so wonderful. Both of you and everyone at PCC is so wonderful about answering any questions. So thank you so much. And we really appreciate you partnering with us. So I will end the live stream. Let me just check one more time. All right, I don't see anything. Oh, wait. Oh, one person, I came in late. When is the deadline for FAFSA?
Oh, great question. Thank you for that question. I would say the final deadline is June 1st, because that's when Oregon Promise requires that you've finished your FAFSA and that you've put a community college on your FAFSA. So for PCC, that's our deadline. Other colleges have earlier FAFSA deadlines. So I would say if you can get it done well in advance of June 1st, that'll be much better. There's some types of grant money that can start to run out. So really, I would say a good goal if you can get it done before the new year. So get it done sometime in 2021.
Now, I think if you're applying to both PCC and public universities, I think like Oregon and Oregon State, their kind of deadline is February 15th, around there, February 1st or February 15th to qualify for scholarships and things. So just pay attention, make sure that you're looking at that. We had one other question. Which campus has MRI imaging?
I would say likely it's the Sylvania campus holds most of the health programs like nursing, and then radiography, I think would be kind of the closest umbrella program to that. And I know we were making lots of improvements and remodeling that I have yet to see because we have been remote. So during this time, so I'm excited to see that.
All right, and I think that's it for now. I'm always hesitant to close it out because I never know if more are going to come in, but I think we will end for the evening. We thank you all for joining us. And if you want to come back in a half an hour, we will be doing one last presentation on college essays, on writing the college essay. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.